Hey y'all, it's Betsy with Happily Ever After, etc. and welcome back to another reading journal video. So today we are going to be going through all my reading journal spreads for the month of March, and this is going to be a little different. The last 2 months, of course this is my first reading journal, so I'm still figuring out what I like, but for the first 2 months I sat down and I showed you exactly what I was doing for each reading journal spread, for each book. Cutting out the stickers, placing them in, figuring out where they were going, gluing them down, the whole thing. And that's great, but it takes a lot of time. And that's not necessarily a problem, but it's kind of a problem. I want to spend more of my time reading and less putting stickers in the reading journal, even though I do love that. I don't want to spend all my time doing that, especially when I would prefer to work on my reading journal in the evenings while I'm watching TV, while I'm listening to an audiobook, while I'm relaxing from the day, not on the weekends when the sun is up, when I can film for y'all. So I made a few changes and I hope that you like it because it's really working for me so far. Change one. So the main first thing that I started doing is working on it in the evenings when I want to work on it and not on the weekends when I can film for y'all. And so that means instead of doing it live, I'm going to be doing it in the evenings and then just showing it to y'all. And since I typically read 20 to 30 books and I end up having 5 to 6 full spreads and then shorter 1-page spreads for my small romance series, that's still a lot to flip through every month. I think it's going to work out much better for both of us. Y'all will have a shorter video, but it'll be better to watch. And if you still really want to see me lay them out and put them together, I can always do that for 1 or 2 spreads as opposed to all the spreads. The second thing I'm doing is, I don't know if y'all know, but I'm a graphic designer. And so I spend a lot of my week in Illustrator and InDesign and laying things out digitally. And so I just kind of fall back to that. And I end up taking my digital stickers that I've been using for all my book spreads and laying them out in Illustrator digitally, and then printing them out individually, cutting them out, figuring out how to put them all together based off of the photo I took of my computer in Illustrator. Instead of just figuring it out, laying it out, printing out the figured out version, and cutting out 4 or 5 stickers as 1 sticker, and gluing it in once instead of 4 times. I get it, the physical layering of stickers is more creative and cute and I like the effect, but the time is just not there. It is not as cost effective of my life. So I think I'm going to end up keeping to do that because then I can come home and I can do a whole reading journal spread in under an hour for 1 book, or a couple in an hour, as opposed to, several hours for 1 book. So I'm going to be showing you today all of my books from March and maybe a couple from February. I don't remember where we left off in the last video, if I went all the way through February or not. But regardless, we'll pick up from the last video and you will see all of March because all of March is finished, including the entire Throne of Glass series because I did read all of them last month. And so while I typically do 2 pages side by side for all of my regular books like Shield of Spearows or Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing will probably get a few pages, but like just whichever romance books I read in a month. And then a single page for the series that I read that are like my Kindle romances where it's, 4 brothers and each one of them falls in love, or a hockey team of 6 guys and each one of them falls in love. I love those books. I read them as palate cleansers. They make my little feet kick. They're great. I don't need to do a full book review on each one, so I do the whole series as 1 book review, and then I move on. Throne of Glass, I think, has 6 or 8 pages in this month, because it's 8 books, y'all. It needed some space. So if you want to see that, stick around. You guys, I'm so excited to show you the spreads I've been working on for this month. Oh, they're so fun.
go ahead, this is my yearly reading journal, and then started with our monthlies and a clean Traveler's notebook. So if you don't use a Traveler's notebook, they're literally just notebooks, blank notebooks that you can add anything to. They go into the journal with rubber bands, so you can put literally anything you want in here. I like the creative freedom they give me. So here is my reading journal spreads for the first 3 months is what ended up fitting in one. We do have about, I think I counted like 8 pages at the very back here, which are still empty. I don't want to start a whole new month with only 8 pages. So I think what I'm going to do, what I've decided is I'm going to add a section at the back where I just do a few reading spreads, reading reviews from Goodreads with pictures and images and stickers for some of my favorite books that I never did a reading journal spread for, since this is my first reading journal. Anywho, here is March. So I kind of wanted to do fairy tale kind of vibes because I read a lot of fairy tale kind of books this month, including Thrown Glass. And I didn't have any Reading Girl stickers, but I had these two from, I don't remember, somewhere on maybe Etsy. I'll leave a link down below. But she's reading ACOTAR, Bella's. So I thought that was fitting. So then for each month, I have started doing days I read. I will fill this in. Spoiler alert, I read almost every day, but I like to put whether I read physical, audio, or Kindle, but I have to look up everything for that. And so I have not done it for February either. But once it's done, this is what it will look like. Here's the one for January. So then for January, I did record which books I hauled as well as my TBR. I've decided I kind of would rather just record my TBR in here. I need to do better at tracking my hauled books before I can put them in a journal. So anyways, here's my TBR. Which ones of these did I read? All of them? I think I read everything this month. Yes. All right, so that means we just have to color them in. April will be fun. I suppose we're still in April. I also don't understand, because when I did my yearly section, I didn't think I read all my books on my TBR. I also think I had like 19 of them. So somewhere my brain is counting different things for this and that. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'll look into it later, because this is definitely different from what I looked at when I was doing that. So I think I looked at the wrong month when I was doing that. So yay, I'll get to go fix that. Oh wait, is this? Yeah, this is February. That's why it's the wrong list. I'm literally coloring in last month's, or February's, not March's. So I guess you guys get an added coloring in, because I apparently never did February's. I'm a really good reading journal gal. What you gonna do with me? So after this, we will go fill in the right month. No wonder it seemed like the wrong month. It literally is the wrong month. That's hilarious. I should have known because I use these cute dachshund stickers from the Dollar General. I saw them on Facebook. If you guys don't know, I have 6 dachshunds. So I'm obsessed with them. And so when I saw them on Facebook, that they had really cute dachshund stickers at the Dollar General, I specifically went to get them, and I could not find them anywhere, and I was very sad. And then my mom found them for me, and she bought them. And she kept a set, and she gave me a set. And she bought me a set that was cats as well, which was cute. All right, let's go to March. Okay. This makes more sense. Yes, because I decided I did not read as many books as I would have liked in the month of March, because I went on a cruise, and so all my fairy loot books that I normally do read didn't get read because I went on a cruise. And while I do read my fairy loot books, I don't bring them out of the house really, unless I'm going somewhere they're not gonna get messed up. And a ship in the middle of the ocean is not one of those places. I don't bring my fairy loot books on cruise ships. They could just get messed up or lost, or somebody else could mess them up somehow, even though I'm very careful with my books. I do read them. And I'm a clumsy person, so my version of careful still involves a lot of falling over. Anywho, so I brought my TBR for the cruise was a lot of books from my last year's TBR that were paperbacks and things that I did want to read, but things that I didn't mind if they got messed up, went missing, if something accidentally happened to them. They're replaceable. Fairy loot is not easily replaceable. So the only thing I don't love about these stickers is they are clear, so you can see like there's a little bit of clear there, and it's because the sticker overlaps that part. And while I have lifted it up to color underneath it for something in the other planner, they're actually very hard to pull up. So I'm not going to for that little bit of a something. This makes way more sense than the books I was coloring in a second ago. Here's one of my dachshunds. Hi, little dachshund. This is Buttercup. You want to say hi? You like my planner? She says, no, Mommy, I can't read. You smelling it? She came for cuddles, not reading. All right, baby, go play. Go play. She is a sweetie. I set her down, and all of her sisters were like, whoa, you got to read? That's so cool. It's better than what they normally do, which is all come over and start jumping up on my leg for their turn reading, aka getting cuddles from Mom. Okay, now here is my favorite page for the monthly spreads, which are the books that I read for the month. And I do put a heart in all of my 6-star reads, and I'm missing one. I realized when I was looking at it earlier on Love You Mean It, because that was such a cute book. This is a duology, the Blushing duology. Of course, I love anything Laura Pavlov writes, but I really liked these two. All right. So now from here, we go into the actual reading spreads. Now this one's a little odd. Don't judge me. I read Lessons in Faking on my cruise. My whole goal was on my cruise, I brought the first of a book series that I had a physical one, and then I was going to read the second one on my Kindle app. Brought the first one, read books 2 and 3 on the Kindle app. Brought the first one, read books 2 and 3 on the Kindle app. Well, when I went to get Lessons in Forgiving, it was $10.99. And if I'm going to get paid $10.99 for a book, I'm going to get the physical book, especially because it has sprayed edges. So I ordered it. It was there when I got home from my cruise. And I did a whole planner spread on the 2 books and then went to fill it in and realized I haven't read this one yet because it wasn't available. I ordered it, but I have not read it. So I'm going to write these once I've read this one, and I'm going to read it next after Heavenly Bodies. So, you know, that was just a brain frog. Then we have To Bleed a Crystal Bloom. This is probably my least favorite spread that I did this month. Which honestly does not surprise me because it was my least favorite book set. I really wanted to love these. The book was beautiful. That's why I bought this first one. It has like purple crystal bloomed edges. It just was gorgeous. I did like it, and I liked book 3 and book 2 a lot better than book 1. It started to make more sense, but I just didn't love these books. So last thing I need to do on all of these is add my little stickers. So let's add it right here next to where I put the ranking. So these are my rating stickers. So a heart is for 6 stars, a star is for 5 stars, and then this little tiny star is for anything 4 stars and under. I don't typically give anything under a 3 or a 4 star. If I don't like it that much, I just don't read it. Typically, if I read something, I like it. King of Frost and Shadows. This was a 5 star. Or, no, you know what? This one was a 6 star. No, it was a 5 star. So let's do this one here. I typically do it if I don't have like a set place on the book cover. I think it was a 5 stars what I put. I can look it up in Goodreads. All right, so then we get to my individual book reviews. So if it was like, you know, books 4 and 3 in a series, these were romance books, super cute, love them, but not a huge, you know, impact on my life. I just do this, and I use these little book review things that I have. And then I don't worry about doing all the pictures and everything. And I just have this one from Target. And this was actually supposed to be my reading journal. I ordered it off Amazon, and it came, and it's just awful quality. I thought it was going to be like decent and cute, and it came, and it's just like, how could I do this in here? And so I didn't want to send it back. I should have read the reviews better, but I still like the pages. There's still lots of stuff in here to use. So I literally ripped them out and used them in my book. And I'm good with that. I think it's an excellent solution. So now I just have to add some cute little washi on the edges of these. And sometimes I make a match if they are on the same opposite pages. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I use different washes. But that's about the only cutie patootie thing I do for these pages. That's cute. I have a little skinny washi, I thought. Maybe I put it back. No, it's right here. Okay, I'm gonna lay layer a little skinnier one up by this stuff. And I do typically add the book covers to these, just so I know what the book looked like. And if it was like a whole series of books, I just do one of them. This was actually a fairy book that I wasn't a huge fan of, so it didn't get a whole spread. But for some reason, I didn't print any of the ones for this month, so I'll do that later. I'm always catching up. The Crimson Throne. Okay, what did I rate this? I did like this book. It was completely unexpected. I don't know what I was expecting, but it blew my mind. Not necessarily in how good it was, but just like not something I would normally buy. So I'm like, why did I buy this? Yeah, 4 stars. I did really enjoy it, but not as much as I would have liked. So here we go. I'm gonna do a little 4-star up here. Honestly, I kind of want to put some washi in here. You know, let's actually do a little copper in a few places. I feel like this spread is just a little boring. Maybe we add a little color, that would help. Yeah, that's cute. We need to add some more to balance it down here, but that's better. I'm not sure about that, but I don't hate it, so we're gonna leave it for now. All right, 4 stars for that one, and then another two pages. Let's do this one. We never use this one, and it matches the colors nicely. I try to use washi on these pages too. That's not necessarily my favorite ones that I reach for all the time. Because, I mean, they're cute, but they're not usually anything I need to use a fancy something for. I'm gonna save my good ones. Sorry, as mean as that sounds. But these are my palette cleanser books, you know, the ones that I read when my brain hurts. All right, I might have to cut this. I think it's gonna be too wide. Actually, got another review like this on the other side. I believe. Yes, we do. So what we're gonna do is this, because I'm a genius. Not all the time, but you know, sometimes. I don't even know if y'all can see this because I've kind of pulled it off the page or off the screen. All right, so what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna fold it over. Why cut it off when we're gonna need some on the other side? Aha. 2 for 1. And now we just got to cut the corners. I got to get one of those little paper cutters that does like the corners. In the meantime, that is close enough. So now I typically wouldn't use the same one on multiple pages, but we might as well use one here to match. No reason to reinvent the wheel, y'all. Especially because this is the only section in this book where I have 4 of these back to back to back. And that is because I normally have these for a whole series. Like I read 4 books, 5 books, all in a series. And then I do this for the whole series. These are all like the last book in a series that I was waiting to come out. So like literally the last book in a series, the number 5, last book in a series. And so I went through my TBR while I was on the cruise when I kind of got overwhelmed by all the fantasy books. And I was like, oh, I've got a whole bunch of books that just came out, last book in a series. Let's finish those off. I think it worked pretty well. All right. This summer I turned pretty. I love how this spread turned out. It's actually really, really cute. Unfortunately, while I did enjoy these books, I didn't love them. I think that was also the most frustrating part of this month is all the books that I brought on my cruise. Maybe it's because I tried to bring a whole bunch of books that were all left over on my TBR at once. I didn't enjoy them as much. And then I got home and I requested Throne of Glass from Libby because of the whole book 6 and 7 being released, thinking I wouldn't get them for weeks or months. And instead I got them in a couple days. And so we start with pictures because I started saving all these pictures. So most of these are from Instagram and they're artwork that different people have created, either using their own abilities or with AI. We've got all the little cities down here. We've got some different things. This one says from the first meeting. I think this one says we forgot the bottom part. I love this one. And a world of Sams, Kales, Dorians, and Rowans who were terrified when their queen said, I have a plan. Aelin found Manons, Lysandras, and Hussars who said, do it. Let's see what happens. And then I couldn't put too many because it just makes me cry. But I stuck a little picture down of Selena and Sam and a little quote that just says, my name is Sam Cortland and I will not be afraid. And that was all I could handle for this page. So I will try, it will take me a minute, but I will try to put links to all of the places where I found these because clearly they are not mine, and credit where credit is due. I could never come up with this, which is why I appreciate those of you who do. Throne of Glass, Fire Breathing Queen. We are on YouTube, so I'm not going to say the whole thing. But she was Aelin Ashriver Galathinius, and she would not be afraid. And then I loved this little quote where somebody had circled it, and it's, do not yield. We do not yield. You do not yield. Over and over and over. This quote that says, Aelin was insane, Dorian realized. Brilliant and wicked, but insane. I love it. And we have Aelin when she's literally running to Rowan when he first appears. This was my other little Sam moment. It is Aelin and Rowan, and I just cut it off. It's just his legs in the graveyard. I cried more over poor Sam than I have in a while. But we have all of the books. I know it is very contentious as to which order you read them in. I read Assassin's Blade first. And if you struggle with grief or losing a fiance or husband, I really recommend that, because if I had known that he spoiler, that Sam doesn't make it, I would have never read this book. If I had gotten it to 3 and found out that he didn't make it, I literally would have skipped this book. I don't read things with that. That's my trigger warning. It wasn't a great time, but I'm glad that I got to experience it the way you're supposed to experience it. I literally would have just skipped it because I don't read things like that. Anywho, to whatever end, Fireheart. There's the rest of my review. And then I did go ahead and write out each of the 8 books and how long it took me to read or listen. I did listen to a lot of these audiobooks when I was at work because we had a lot of weeding and moving of plants, getting ready for our spring plant sale. And I had a lot of time, so listened to a lot of audiobooks. And then I decided I needed one more page. This was supposed to be the last one because I found these really pretty depictions of the couples, and I thought we needed those. And so I did these, and then I decided, let's do some more couples. So, of course, we have Aelin and Rowan, which is like 90% of what the other pages are. We have Lysandra and Evangeline, the wolf and the lion. I cried over that. Dorian and Manon, and then Caleb and Urine. I love Urine. I love Lysandra. They're probably my favorite. I love Alid too. I love all the characters. Lysandra's probably my favorite after Aelin. But anyways, and then we have a view of Abraxo smelling the flowers and the cadre, all of them together. And that leaves us with our very last review of the week, of the month, of the year for Love You Mean It and You Me and Forever. And if you need a recommendation for a really good contemporary duology that does have quite a bit of emotion in it, I tend to like less emotion in my contemporary romance. I go for like sports romances, hockeys and footballs, because there's less like grief and trauma bonding and things in those books traditionally, not always. But these, I love anything by Laura Pavlov. Is that how you say her name? I don't know. That's how I say her name. I'm sure it's wrong. I apologize, Laura. But I love anything she writes, and she does have some more just emotional books where people have things to get over. And I absolutely adored these. They were 6-star reads for me. I don't think I gave Throne of Glass a heart for 6 stars. I probably should. My problem is, I'm like, do I give one to every single book? I don't even know where to put this because I don't have a little, I normally put my little picture up here. So let's add it right here for book review. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and put the heart on Queen of Shadows, because that and Empire of Storms are my favorites, so we'll put it right between those. Love them. And I hope you guys liked this. So as I was saying earlier, before I leave, I just want to point out what I've been doing for my reviews. And so unlike at the very beginning of the book, when I literally was cutting out every single picture, and like I laid this out online on Illustrator and then brought it in, and I do like it, but I did also notice that when I was looking at the actual book, the front of the planner was starting to take up like just a lot more space than the binding really allows, because I was layering so much. And so in order to cut down on some of that bulk and my time and the 90% of things, like I said, I started doing all my layering digitally online and then just cutting out the whole page together. And so what that looks like, if I were to set this up in this book, which I'm not, because it will go in the next one for April, but here is Rites of the Starling. And you see it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures, but it's one thing that I cut out, and it will all go together, and then they will glue in right like this. This I'll fold, and it will cross the middle pages. And then I'll write my review here, and I'll put my book title up here, and I will make it all go together, and I'll add my washi tape and things like that. And then if you want to layer a sticker or two over it, then I'll add an extra sticker or two, like right here. This was added after the fact. These were added after the fact because I thought I needed something else in this space. But I'm just really liking how I do that. I will also say that if you haven't noticed, I do cut out all of my titles with my Cricut. Typically my Cricut Joy, because it's little and I can just keep it by my reading planner. I need more colors of tiny matless Cricut Joy vinyl. But I like how easy it is and how it kind of makes it a little nicer than me just writing it. For my monthly ones, I do write my titles because I don't want to Cricut everything. So I find that that's a good balance. But I just want it to be, you know, larger, more bold. I liked for this one that you could, you know, use the actual title. I haven't actually used my Tombow pens in a minute. I should do that more than here. I've just been using my black and white pens, black and whites. But anyways, yeah, we will probably end up with some fourth wing pages right back here because never done an actual fourth wing page. So honestly, I'd be shocked if they don't all become fourth wing pages since we just did a whole big Throne of Glass review. But in the meantime, we will start April right here, and I've already got Rites of the Starling and Throne of the Fallen ready to be glued in because those were the first 2 books I read, and Shield of Sparrows, but that was a reread. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.